Alright, I think we're live. Hey to everyone again. Back with the CPS gang, I guess.
Yeah.
Just going to play some Raiden II. I'm James again, with me is Commander.
Yeah, I'm also someone who's played a lot of Raiden II and will also be providing commentary in this game.
Yeah, I've also played this a tiny bit. It's just did a 1-0. that's it. But yeah, this game is very cool. It's from Seibu Kaihatsu, which made the first Raiden, of course, and then they made this one. This one is kind of legendary, I'd say. I think Raiden is like the most well-known shmup title as well, I think, at least in the West. I think most people, if you ask them what a shmup is, they'll probably recognize this over everything else.
Yeah, a large part of it too was their US distributor Fabtech apparently sold a lot of units at the time and also did a ton of marketing for this game as well. So it was pretty common in cabs back in the day, since there were local arcades near me that actually had this as well. But
yeah, and then Raiden II, they really stepped up their game. As you can see, like this insane shrapnel effect when enemies explode. It's like a semi 3D, but it looks like it's falling to the ground and then does damage to the background.
Yeah,
really,
that's because
triple A kind of stuff.
Yeah, the hardware itself actually has a custom 3D system on a chip, which actually does 3D calculations for the shrapnel, also does texturing for the asteroids you'll see later on. But it also will randomly determine where the shrapnel will fall, the XYZ axis and stuff like that, which is pretty cool stuff for a late 1993 game.
Yeah, it's completely out of control.
I should also mention here too is what CPS is doing right now. In the early game, you really want to just upgrade your main Vulcan shop by picking up the red weapon items dropped from the item carriers, as well as picking up the sub-shop missiles, which are denoted by a yellow M for some extra damage boost. He'll also be probably getting cluster bombs instead of thermonuclear, because even though thermonuclear is technically more damage, I think in front, the problem is it takes forever to deploy, and in close corner situations, it makes way more sense to just go for cluster, since shorter activation time covers a larger area all around you.
Yeah, the whole missiles do no damage at all at low power as well. Yeah, so it's better to go for the nuclear ones here.
Exactly. First boss here is just these two walker tanks. You can pretty much point blank the first one. It's pretty free. You just pick up the medals, and then so for the second here, there's a couple ways you can do it. Let's see, I think he's gonna go with the safe strat where you avoid the spread and then you go up point blank. There's another way you could do it too, where you could misdirect the initial spread and get on top for a quicker kill, but since it's not like DX where there's bonuses related to boss kills, you probably should just take the safer method.
Is it just me, or the frame is kind of lagging slightly?
Not really noticing it too much.
Okay.
Yeah, one other thing this game is also pretty known for is just its difficulty. This game is way harder than the first Raiden game. Just in terms of bullet speed, but also in terms of resources. Because for some reason they turned off the score extents for the sequel.
Yeah, that was something that I believe Trap 15 was looking into the day, and you found out that I guess there's 2 technical score extents in the game, but they're like dummied out along with another play of their time known as C-S or Cream. And yeah, it's really bizarre because I think other Japanese players have played this game far more extensively and found out there apparently are like extents of 90 million or something ridiculous.
Yeah, someone was doing a counter stop and they were like really surprised when they got to 90 million. Suddenly they got an extent.
Yeah, it's absolutely whack. There are other ways to get 1-ups in the game, which I'll probably mention once we get to the next stage. There's 2 secret extents in stage 3 and stage 6. And they both need kind of pretty specific setups to get them activated. But right now, he's been focusing on these 2 mid-boss tanks here, which the first one you point blank, it dies. So he has to move up after popping off the small 6 turrets on the main body and then moving up to avoid the spread, moving back down for the kill. Like, it's just an example of the many sort of small aggressive point blanking tricks you really need, because enemies are like really, really tanky this game. Even just a base tank just takes like several hits to not only blow the top off, but to like destroy. And it's very easy for stuff to snowball if you're not killing things like as soon as possible.
Yeah, you saw just now like how important it is to have like point blanking and auto fire. It's basically necessary to like play the game at all.
Right, and one of the biggest criticisms of this game back in the day, if you're playing on cabs in the US at least, is that operators would just not install auto fires, so you'd be forced to play the game with like laser or the purple plasma shot, which they all have their own shortcomings as well. And because of that, in the sequel, they ended up adding like an external auto fire button for Raiden DX as well as Viper Phase 1.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty apparent that the game was designed around auto fire, so it's kind of weird sometimes when you just see cabs without auto fire.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a cab here that has it, which is unfortunate because I think auto really helps the playability of the game. And it's really important for a lot of strategies as well.
Wait, that was like a red car just earlier. Gives you like a little bit of score bonus if you destroy it. Like goes off the screen very fast.
Yeah, I don't know what triggers the red car, honestly. It might just be related.
It's like every Raiden game, the red car.
Yeah, exactly. Here, he's abusing a tactic where, for some reason with this boss, oh my god.
I saw.
Yeah, so I was going to say is what he's trying to do there is you delay killing the enemy waves there, because if you don't do enough damage after the 7th wave of enemies that pops out, it has to release the next 8 to 14 enemy waves, and it allows you to get a lot of point blank damage and kill it before it triggers that 2nd phase. Somehow there, I don't think he got enough damage in, which is why he moved back to avoid that spread that pops out. But
yeah, also you saw like the boss like fall on top of a building and like create a huge hole in the building. That's like super cool.
it is, yeah, like
Sick.
I don't remember what the percentage chance is, but like every enemy as well as certain bosses will, there's destroyed sprites will basically like zoom down as they fall to the ground, then create shrapnel effects and result in like visible like fire damage to the structure or ground below, which is really cool. I don't think you see that in a whole lot of other games even since then. So now we're in stage 3 where the game decides, all right, time to wake up, play for real. Right now, though, he switched to homing, and I believe he's trying to go for this 1-up setup where he uses this easier method where he deploys a cluster bomb on the item carrier to destroy it, times moving down on the top right to bottom right, and then moving to the left to get the 1-up as the tank rolls over that item box.
And that extent is so hard to get. It's like almost not even worth it.
Yeah, the stage 6 one is easier to set up, but it's
Doing that without bombs is like so not worth it.
It isn't. Yeah, I still try not to do it without bombs because success rate is still kind of variable. But
yeah, in a way, like bombs are like more valuable than lives in this game.
yeah, they're basically like your health bar. Because I mean, I've had that runs before too, where it's like you run out of bombs, and it's like you have to do some really suspect like maneuvering to get through certain bosses or sections about it.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it yet, but if you die in this game, it's like very, very difficult to recover.
Right.
You lose all your power, and
Yeah.
it's really hard to just get power back because the game is still as hard as it was when you died, but now you can't destroy anything anymore.
Yeah, and it's actually the items that are dropped out are also determined by how many upgrade items you had before then, as well as item orders. So, but this basically ends up meaning is on your first death fully powered up, you get like a ton of items, but outside of that, you don't really get a whole lot. And due to the way item works as well, you probably won't get a full power P drop unless you die in like stage 5 or something like that on a normal run.
It also depends on if you collected the fairy.
Yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of fairies that you can stack as well.
They give a bunch of extra items when you die.
Also, I gotta say, I knew CPS was talking about this. He said stage 3 gunboats were free with this, but I don't know. It still looks.
I think I've seen this strat before. Yeah, it might make this section tiny bit easier to destroy the big boats. Because they do like pierce, the purple does pierce, so you're hitting both boats at once.
That's correct. The only problem is you have to be cognizant of like the Zako randomly spawning in, because if you don't do that right, it can mess up your route quite a bit. But it seems like he handled that pretty well as this quick kill on the boss here, where you don't blow that cover off immediately with the laser. This boss gets very nasty with like a bunch of turrets popping up like every 5 to 10 seconds. It just gets ridiculous if you try to do it any other way than the blue laser quick kill.
So yeah, this one will be very marathon unfriendly, as we said, because when you die, that's like very hard to recover. So we'll see how CPS is going to do it. This might be one of the hardest ones in the marathon.
Yeah. Yeah, like it is possible to recover, like if you do have an early death, but the problem is you lose out on like a ton of resources that you might need for later. So generally it's just advisable to like no miss as far as you can get.
Almost sniped.
Dude, the double almost snipes.
Yeah, you really need to memorize just what every single enemy is, so you don't get just blindsided by something.
Exactly.
Like they're like these big tanks under the trees that like pop out, and you have to know they're there.
Yeah, that or you just like before the 5th one, just on the left, because I find that to be a lot safer, even if you kill that second great plane a lot slower. CPS is being quite ballsy though. Gotta admire that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, wasn't there also something that they made this game harder by like starting you in like the second loop difficulty? And that's why everything is so fast.
I don't know if it's specifically second loop difficulty, but it's kind of like the progression to like huge zombie and like zombie, where it's like they just made everything a lot harder for just balancing difficulty for casual and hardcore players and bringing in more arcade income before the advent of like secondary scoring systems. So as a result, like just the base difficulty is like way harder than like the first Raiden game. And even when Sideway themselves are confronted with this, initially they were like, we make products, not art. And then eventually in interviews we're forced to recant that, where one of the Moss president basically said like, Yeah, income from like rural game centers wasn't doing as well because you don't have as many people to collaborate with and like form strategies with. So people are just getting killed way earlier on, and like that was killing off income for the game, which necessitated the development of Raiden DX 7 months later.
Yeah, if you want to know like why some arcade games are so difficult, just blame the arcade operators.
For real. I also do want to mention over here, this ruin section, you do have to be careful of the way you time uncovering the covers on some of those like ruin sections, because some of them have like loaded gun armaments, and as you can see, he had to do some specific steps of like letting the gold planes leave for the first and third ones, as well as killing some of those tanks in a specific order for the second one, so you could point blank it safely.
Yeah, also got like a fairy earlier in the tree. Could
That's right. Ooh, I don't know we should kill it that way, but maybe it'll work out. For this boss here, I'd like to ideally delay the second statue kill so that the weapon item is not like all over the place when you're trying to point blank that main block here. But
you got. Ideally, you want to switch to laser later, but now the item is gone.
Yeah, so unfortunately, because of this, he can't use the easy kill strat on this boss, which would be to use the laser to pop off the side turrets on this secondary main block up here, as well as these side blocks. So I'm thinking he's probably going to have to bomb spam this. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, this boss is nasty.
Just pray to RNG this. Yep, just as I thought. Come on, CPS.
Oh,
come on, dude.
Yeah. Hitboxes in the game are very big, so this is a lot scarier than it looks.
Yeah, like it's when you're fully powered up in that powered state. I should also mention too. Initially, your ship has a smaller hitbox in its base state, but then when you collect like 5 power-ups, it could be either sub shot or main shot. Your ship upgrades in the form you see right now, and your hitbox gets wider. So it's basically like a wider rectangle, like the back of your ship, which also becomes a bit smaller when you do diagonals, which is something you can actually use to your advantage if you need to make any sort of like tighter dodging.
Also, what made that a lot scarier than it looks is that bombs don't give you iframes.
Correct. And that's for any bomb. Like, even the cluster bombs do not give you iframes, so sometimes bullets can sneak through the cluster and die.
We haven't really talked about the bombs much, but there are two different kinds, the red ones and the yellow ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the red is just like the classic Raiden bomb / Sami bomb, where it's just this. It takes a while to deploy, like a second or two, but when it releases, you have this like big fat, like circular explosion that damages everything in its radius and does a lot of damage. Cluster takes like half a second to deploy. It's much quicker to activate, but it basically releases all these napalm shots around your ship and destroys enemies. It damages enemies in that radius.
And I think player one starts with the red bombs and player 2 starts with the yellow bombs.
Correct. Unfortunately, in this version, you don't want to play on the player 2 side, because instead of the instant respawns player 1 has, for some reason they're like, player 2 it just has to deal with checkpoints, and the checkpoints are like really inconsistent with like not only where they spawn, but just like how many there are per stage, and the stages are not designed around checkpoint recovery either. So like, you game over once, you're probably not going to clear the game.
Yeah. Yeah, you basically just want the yellow always and have to deal with the 3 red ones with player 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like, the only downside if you do switch to cluster is that you don't get the 50k bomb bonus if you get in excess of. Oh my god. Dude.
Yeah, you really don't want these enemies to go down the screen.
Yeah.
They will keep shooting you.
Yeah, there it's very easy if you to go off route and get cornered by those. So goody bomb there.
It wasn't also like a movement difference between player 1 and player 2, or is that just DX?
I think that's just DX when people were testing it out.
Yeah.
It seemed
like
like
player 2 has like faster like vertical movement or horizontal movement or something.
So player 2 is faster horizontal movement. DX when you go into the powered up like state with like the additional arguments on the back. Well, one player is faster vertical movement, but I believe in this game it's just the same movement for either side. So now we're coming up on the infamous 5th boss, which they really want to kind of show off. Like, I hope you've been saving your resources at this point, because this boss is like 4 phases, crazy amount of different attacks, and some pretty bullshit ones in the last phase as well. First phase here, though, he just got rid of those side turrets there, because when it does that circular spread or whatever from the main turret, you don't want to get clipped by the shots in the left and right. Second phase is easy, just point blank. Third phase, you can safe spot the back for the initial spread that comes out, and then stay on the left to avoid the spread as it moves.
Yeah, the last phase is where it's going to be the biggest difficulty.
Yeah, mostly because of a really particular nasty attack. Oh, yeah, he did not time the damage to that particularly well. Oh my god.
That's bad.
Yeah, so the boss will do that spread going inwards, and the second attack is that bullet rain attack, which to my knowledge is completely random. Like, you can kind of mess around with the RNG here and there, but
That was a relief. That was
yeah, I was gonna say, like, you didn't damage enough in that third phase, so
yeah,
you had a bomb
that
there.
stage 4 boss was a total failure. That was unintentional, yeah. Unintentional. I should have picked the blue laser, but yeah, I got a bad RNG.
Yeah, that's why I usually try to time the item to like get released from the second statue, just leave the screen so that you can pick it up like right at the end there. But you made it work, you know, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that one random attack is like very cool in a game with a very slow movement and very fast bullets.
Yeah,
I think most super players just like time out the third phase and then that times out the boss. That's easier.
yeah, like you can learn it for the first loop. Like I've done it in runs before. I like no bomb, no miss that like last phase. But like for subsequent loops where like bolt speed increases quite considerably, you probably want to time out like the second or third phase for that boss.
Right now, like any Raiden tradition, we're doing the second half in space.
Right. Here you got these lovely Zaka enemies that just fall down from like the ceiling and release that aim shot towards you while you deal with these gun platforms here. I'm gonna see if he's gonna try to get the one up here, because if you destroy this crystal in this specific way before it leaves the screen, you can get. Oh, you didn't time that right. So, because he released the bomb too late, the crystal went off screen and he couldn't damage it with the damage frames from the thermonuclear bomb.
Yeah, that's another really difficult extent to get. It also requires another bomb. It's also not worth it.
You could do without a bomb if you use laser and purple, but I find that to be considerably more difficult. Like, you gotta practice that if you want to do that method for sure.
Yeah, and then you have to do this section with laser.
Yeah, which is like, I don't like that at all. These enemies like love to get in your face.
I think this is the stage where you really need to route the enemies to come from the top.
Yeah, that's correct.
They will just like fall in your face and point blank you.
Yeah, exactly. And then even like dealing with like the slightly faster speeds with the turrets as well, like you have to kind of offset that with your movement.
It is also like something funny where if you like go to the top of the screen, these enemies will come from the bottom instead.
Yeah, that's actually something they took from Raiden 1 as well, because remember, it's very similar enemy behavior in this game. Which, yeah, like you play this game a lot, you notice like, oh, this is the set piece from Raiden 1. Like a lot of set pieces are very similar in that regard, just way more detailed.
Yeah, in a way, this is kind of like a Raiden 1 remake. In a way, you can guess, can think of it, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like the devs were just like, we have the money now to actually, you know, realize our full artistic vision, so why don't we go all out?
Yeah, the first Raiden was still a bit janky, especially with some sound effects.
Yeah, like they admit it is like they had to make it work with the hardware they had. This section here, very hard to do without bombing. Like he had to damage that base quite a bit and possibly destroy before moving to the right, but couldn't really do that, so that's why he just bombed there. Okay, coming up here is, I think, is probably like the hardest boss in the game to like have to manually execute, because there's a specific way you have to do this without bombing, and it's not very intuitive to like figure that out on your own, in my opinion.
Yeah, this boss is really annoying.
Yeah, so for whatever reason,
they made this boss way easier than DX.
They did, yeah. Part of it too is because, as you saw there, if you damage the boss too much initially, it just skips into the second phase immediately with the spread that like is aimed at you. But
yeah, the patterns overlap.
There's like no dead time in between like the phase transitions to overlaps with other attacks, and basically to get around that, you have to like manage your damage output so like you do enough damage to the boss, but then don't fire at it so that it switches to like the one turret firing pattern before you hit the core, which then creates enough dead time to go to the second phase. It's really dumb.
Just gotta know.
Yeah, you just have to know and practice in save states, because I don't know how you're supposed to figure that out in arcades by your own. Here
now this stage. It is the stage where the toothpaste like really shines.
Right.
Because there are a lot of those like meteorites, and they're hard to damage, all of them. But the purple laser can pierce through all of them at once, if you're lucky, I guess, that it actually cooperates. But if it does, it's really good.
Yeah, there's ways you can also like reset the trajectory of the purple laser by just like not firing for a couple seconds. But it's another stage you do want to practice a lot, because as you can see too, there's those like random Zaka that come down from the top, and sometimes the way they spawn is awkward, and you might they might spawn like slightly off screen and you move into them, or you might fail to kill them and then they might still be active on the side of the screen you're moving to.
Yeah, I have like a really funny clip of that, where one just like spawn. I just moved to the right and one spawns. There was like one hidden right on the edge of the screen. I just scroll to the right. You die.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like in this game too, it's just like a Raiden 1 where you can abuse the screen scrolling to like limit enemies appearing, as well as where enemies can fire from, but they can also use that against you too, so it's something to be cognizant about. First mid-boss there, you switch to missiles so that you can point blank the main core of it and just kill it right away. Then this second boss here, you just try to get a lock on with the plasma laser and just, dodge off to the side, which looks like he got that, no problem. Coming up here, there's these large bomblet containers where you don't destroy them fast enough. They release all these like small bomblet missiles, which are very briefly invincible, but when they are destroyed, release a singular bullet of their own. Okay. Ooh. Okay, there you go.
I really see toothpaste lasers just going crazy when it like locks onto like a million targets at once.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
It is. It's such a fun section to root it out too. It's just, as much as DX improved some of the graphical effects of that laser, it's unfortunate they couldn't really put as much to as good use there as they could in this game. So coming up here, he switches back to Vulcan because he's going to want to get a quick, juicy point blank kill on this boss here. You can just really sit on top of the boss, like,
Nice.
just kill it right away. It takes forever for it to do anything like threatening, so ends up being one of the easiest bosses in the game when you figure it out.
Yeah, you don't want to fight that boss just legitimately.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it releases that weird spiral pattern with like the aim shots at you as it like moves around a lot. Kind of like the first game's some boss as well, but just don't trust your hitbox. Yeah, so now we're on the last stage. This opening section here, there's a bunch of ground turrets and tanks. Kind of wants to misdirect some of these so he can cut back to the right, give himself enough room to maneuver. It's followed up by these 4 bigger tanks, which love to release those like stream of aim bullets at him. Sako enemies here are also very annoying. You let them live. Yeah, so he did that there so they could kill the rotating turret there. It's very annoying to dodge that without a bomb and deal with all these tanks. This crystal here is technically destroyable, but it has like a bajillion HP. It's also not worth a lot of points from what I remember reading from a player named Saucy Kobold, so it's better just to focus on the other enemies to get set up for this nasty section here.
It's just there to taunt you and to soak up your bullets.
Yeah. Like, this section, so easy for stuff to get out of control.
You got
no, we got laser. Well, maybe. Oh, it's always the Zako, man. Like,
yeah, there you see. There you go. Just one small mistake and everything goes too crazy.
He's got these statues as well too. So
this game in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you have to try to recover while all this is going on.
Yeah, just this final barrage right before the last boss. These Zako just love to be right below the screen and like follow you.
Yeah, that's so annoying.
So yeah, here I think he's just gonna try. No! Oh no! Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he has.
No!
Also, like, no iframes.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Hey, you guys show. Okay. Yeah, so there's a particular quick kill strat you can do on that second phase of that boss if you had full powered missiles, but outside of that, it's just like you gotta bomb and just do your best because this boss just has nastiest hell attacks.
Yeah, that's a perfect demonstration of how brilliant this game is.
That was a technical 1cc.
Okay.
One continue clear.
Get out of here.
Yeah, if only
man.
got the second extend, I think that will be
Yeah.
clear.
Or just didn't go as far up on that first phase of the boss because you got clipped like from the intersection.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, you missed a few bombs that way.
Yeah, it's such a hard section to recover from. Just too much crap flying at you.
Still though, like very, very close.
Yeah.
So GG.
Yeah, GG's.
I'm probably gonna do a revenge run for Coin Op 2023 maybe.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll look forward to that too.
Yeah, and this and the Donpachi Daiuchu, because I failed at Ibachi.
Oh man. Yeah, so I guess one small tip I'll mention before we end here. Even if you did get to the loop, a lot of stuff is pretty much the same. It's just faster reload time from enemies, faster bullets. Normally you think that doesn't amount to much, but it does make a lot of sections considerably harder on loops that you do need to make different strategies. So.
Yeah, second loop, fake interest.
Also different item table from the item carriers.
Well, because the item order is still carried over from the first loop at whatever position it was. So usually that means like you could, if you died at like section 1A or whatever in the loop, you can usually get a full P at like some point in 2-1 or 2-2 to fully recover from multi-loop stress.
So bullets keep going faster like each loop.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like Tour Plan where there's like a cap after like loop 3. No, in these games this keep going faster and faster.
No, it actually does cap at loop 4.
Okay.
I think it's just like the original Raiden where people are unsure if it like fully caps out like at loop 4 or if there's like an indeterminate like limitless cap or whatever.
I know there's a funny video of the first Raiden in like loop 8 and the bullets go so fast you can barely see them.
Yeah, it's a loop 9, the international version, which actually has slower rank progression than the Japanese version. So the guy mentions in the description it's actually the equivalent to loop 5 of the Japanese version without any sort of low rank tricks, which you can do in this game as well if you game over 3 times and do credit on the 4th cycle.
Nice.
It does feel like...
So that's Raiden II for today. Thanks for the commentary, you two. Amazing one.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to be here.
Good gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah. GG's.